Do you ever feel like you're going through this monotonous routine every day of waking up and doing the same thing, but not really living for you? Or do you ever feel like a chameleon where you're different around different people and you kind of mold your personality based on who you're around? Or do you have these secret ambitions or goals or just ways that you want to express yourself that you kind of just push down and suppress because you think it'll sound ridiculous to say it out loud? If any of that resonates, this video is for you. That actually sounded very commercially. Like, if you answered yes, you could be eligible for compensation. Please call. Most people don't know who they are. They think they do, but it's hard to say you really know who you are when you're raised in a society with different pressures and norms and expectations. Like in America, that's go to college, get a stable 9-to-5 job, get married before 30, have children, settle down in a suburban home or something. 99% of people do this, and if you do anything else, if you don't get married, or if you get married after 30, or if you don't have children, or if you don't get a stable job and you decide to like be a musician or something, you are super ostracized. Look, I'm not bashing getting a 9-to-5 job or having like a quote-unquote normal life. If that feels authentic to you, please do that. But I do think there are a lot of people that want to do other things, like want to try content creation, but they're terrified of what their family might think if they told them that they wanted to be a YouTuber instead of a lawyer. There are probably a lot of people who, if they gave it deep thought, wouldn't want to have kids, but blindly have them anyway because they think that's what they're supposed to do. We subconsciously fall into this preset trajectory instead of thinking for ourselves. Most people just keep their head down, stay in line, and do what it is they think they're supposed to do. And so many people choose their path in life out of fear. Fear of what people think. Fear of being judged by our friends, family, society. Especially in our 20s, we really care. We really care what people think. I do feel like the older you get, the less you give. Can someone please confirm that who's over 30 watching this video? Like, do you now give less of a shit in your 30s, 40s, so on than you did when you were in your 20s? Leave a comment. Does it get easier? Like, please give us some hope. But remove all of the pressure from friends, remove what our families think, remove what's normal in our society, and you're left with your authentic self. It's the most fearless self. It's who you are when no one's looking. It's your inner child. It's who you were before the world told you who to be. So in this video, I'm gonna talk about how to be your most authentic self, how to tap into that inner child and stop caring what people think and stop craving that validation and approval. And I'm not gonna act like I have this figured out. I struggle with this every day too. So stay tuned for me spilling the chai on my personal journey as well. And if you are new and you like self-development content like this, welcome. We are in our growth era over here, so definitely hit subscribe and become a bud. And I just launched my It's Giving Growth Instagram, so follow me over there if you want to see more of my personal journey in the spirit of being authentic. I'm gonna post something over there that I've actually never done before, so more on that later. And let's get started. Let me be real with you guys, because if I'm gonna preach about authenticity, I should probably be practicing it. Here is an uncomfortable truth about myself. I know I come on here and I got the makeup, I got like the hand gestures, and I read a lot of comments from you guys saying that you admire my confidence. To me, confidence is knowing who you are and standing in that truth and saying, this is me. Take it or leave it. But honestly, I've struggled a lot with figuring out who I am, and it wasn't until recently that I started even trying to really understand who I am at my core. My whole life, I felt like a chameleon. I've put on different skins to suit different people around me. Okay, that makes me sound like a snake, but you know, I blended in basically because I didn't want to cause problems. I wanted everyone to like me. I didn't want to take up too much space or be controversial. I wanted to be everyone's cup of tea, so I basically molded my personality based on the company I was around. I was so scared of being different and being judged that I abandoned my authentic self and traded her for being liked. I put on 7 different hats in front of 7 different people. Like, the code switching was real. It was exhausting to constantly change my personality, and beyond that, I didn't even know who I was anymore. Like, when you pretend to be someone else for so long, you kind of forget to figure out who you really are. And this happens all too often. We all try to fit in some way. And I'm gonna discuss 4 causes where this type of mindset can come from. Number 1 is DNA. It is literally hardwired into our genetics to subconsciously always try to blend in, fit in, and play safe. Why? Because hundreds or thousands of years ago, when we were animals in the wild, you needed to fit in with your herd. Stepping away from your herd, or worst, being cast away from your tribe, was a death sentence. The lion or whatever predator would see you as a weak link, an easy target, and you would be donezo. Fast forward to now, and we still think that way. We still conform every day. It could be in really big ways, like, pursuing a career that your family approves of instead of the one you really want. But then there are a bunch of little ways that we try to fit in on a daily basis. Like, if you're shopping and you see this bright colored shirt that you love, but you don't get it because, you don't want to be that person at work that stands out that much. So you just get the boring black pants. Or if you're at a bar or a party and you want to dance, but no one else is dancing, so you just don't. Side note, I live in the New York City area, and anyone who lives in New York City knows that if you walk down the street, so everyone's walking down the sidewalk, right, doing their own thing on their phones, you will always see this one person, at least 1 or 2 people, that are just blasting music, breakdancing, moonwalking down the sidewalk, and clearly they're in their own world. They don't care who is looking at them. I always used to think that those people were freaking weird. But I feel like the older I get and the more I mature, I realize that they're low-key the type of people I'm trying to get like. To really just give that little of who's looking at you and just be happy and live in your own world. Moving on, the second place that this conformity mindset often comes from is our childhood. We all know this. The kid in middle school who was different was the kid who was relentlessly bullied. Just think back to middle school, and I know there were some painful memories of being different in some kind of way and getting bullied for it. For me, that was bringing Indian food to school. So I'm Indian, and at the cafeteria, at the lunch tables, when all of these American kids were bringing their peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, I was bringing Indian food and no one knew what that was, and I used to get roasted for doing that, for literally just eating my culture's food because it was different and no one understood it. Another example is when I was in middle school, or it might have been the beginning of high school. I remember telling people I liked country music. I liked Taylor Swift. And I don't know why at that point in time it was a thing to hate on her and to hate on country music. It still might be. I clearly remember someone being like, ew, you like country music? The scarring. When I tell you, I didn't bring up Taylor Swift until I was in college again. And isn't that so sad? That all of these things that we love, that make us who we are, our different cultures and interests, get bullied out of us. So anyway, over time, we learn to put on these masks and blend in. We become the kids that listen to the same popular music as everyone else, and then we turn into the adults that wear the clothes that are normal. I think a lot of us don't actually express ourselves in our most authentic ways because it's just been quieted over the years. It's been slowly suffocated. We might not dye our hair green or wear that bright colored shirt or put on that colorful makeup or blast the country music or whatever because it might not be normal or popular. The third root cause of this conformity mindset is our culture. I think culture plays a big role. Zooming out from an international worldly lens, some countries are much more open to being unique and authentic and different than other countries. America is a country, in a very general sense, that is pretty individualistic as compared to a lot of countries in Asia, specifically Eastern Asia, like Japan, China, Korea, where there's definitely more of a conformity, unity mindset. Being different there is often discouraged. They place a lot of value on unity and following traditions, more so than making your own path. And while there can be a lot of beauty in this community mindset, it can stunt personal development and uniqueness. It's actually kind of funny how different countries place polar opposite values on authenticity. Take Japan and America. There's this old Japanese proverb that goes, "A nail that sticks out gets hammered down." It stresses that standing out and being loud will get you criticized and beaten down. And in America, there's a common saying that the squeaky wheel gets the grease, meaning that the person who speaks up and is loud about what they want gets what they want. So to understand how you relate to authenticity, it's important to also look at your surroundings and the culture you're being raised in to understand how that might be affected. And the fourth potential root cause of inauthenticity, is social media. In my opinion, if you haven't watched my video on why I quit social media, you should definitely check that out. Tee it up. I quit completely for a year and I'm back on now for professional purposes to grow this brand. But one of the main reasons I quit in the first place was it didn't feel like an authentic place to be. It felt the opposite of that. It felt fake. When you're on Instagram and everyone's posting hot pictures of their cool vacation and standing in front of their luxury car, or the perfect fitness pictures with their six packs, and they're getting so much attention and hundreds or thousands of likes, that subconsciously tells us what's accepted, what's liked. It says, be like this. This is good. This is what's gonna get you liked. Literally liked. And then it becomes so much harder to post an authentic, a real picture of your real life because you know that it's in contrast to these perfect images that are so liked and valued. It's hard. It's hard to post an authentic gym picture, sweating your ass out, hair all sorts of whack, out of breath, fat rolls on display. And it's hard to post your humble staycation at home while everyone's posting bikini pics on a mega yacht in Greece. It forms an environment where we chase that clout, that attention, and we trade our authentic life to portray a life that's gonna get those likes. Because we want to be liked and respected, but we live in a society that really values superficiality and perfection and not so much what's actually going on. Like, how are we supposed to be authentic when social norms are actively conditioning us to be someone else? Someone better, someone richer, someone prettier. So I used to be that person that would take pictures at a party smiling, laughing with friends, even though I didn't actually have friends at the party and I was not even having a good time. But I wanted to look happy and that like I had friends because that was what was cool. And it got so bad to the point that the person I was portraying online was so different from who I really was, what I was like. So last week when I launched my Instagram, I knew I had to be really careful not to fall down that same rabbit hole. I need to push myself to show up authentically, even if it's a little uncomfortable. Like what you're watching is the internet. Like, I'm exposed to billions of people, and there's a big part of me that just wants to look my best and come off as my best and only show those parts. But in the spirit of authenticity, I will be posting on my Instagram very real pictures. I'm talking no makeup pictures, I'm talking sweaty gym pictures. Like, when I feel inspired to post, I'm just gonna do it in a way that actually reflects where I'm at. And if you don't like that, you can dismiss yourself, because this is not America's Top Model. This is It's Giving Growth, and like my YouTube banner says, on my page, it's authentic, not aesthetic. I recently realized just how important it is to authentically be yourself, but more so, how detrimental it is when you're not. Being the person everyone wants you to be or subconsciously expects you to be is essentially people-pleasing. It's adapting to everyone else's wants and needs or expectations in order to gain that approval. It's making everyone around you feel comfortable while abandoning yourself. You need to start prioritizing yourself. What makes you happy? What clothes you want to wear? What lifestyle you choose? What dreams you chase? Because groupthink is quietly killing souls. It's killing individuality and making us all the same. It makes us not question anything and just be swept away into this river of preset ideas and mindsets. And that's kind of terrifying because being unique is what makes the world interesting. Like, can you imagine if all of your friends, all of your family, your grandma to your boss to your best friend, all had the same haircut, all liked the same music, all had the same lifestyle? That would be terrifying and super boring. And another reason why it's terrifying to not authentically be yourself is this. Every day you're faced with decisions. Everything from how you dress to what you do with your time. And every single time you do something that's not aligned with who you truly are, every time you do something that's not aligned with that and you go in a different direction, you betray yourself. And then when another decision comes along and you again act in a way that's not aligned with who you are, you stray even further and further and further. And before you know it, that distance has broadened so far that you don't even recognize yourself. You end up so far from the person who you actually are or were on the inside that you can easily wake up 50, not recognize your life, and just be miserable because you ended up with someone who you didn't want to marry, or a job you didn't want to take on, or just a life that you just didn't want to lead. And at that point, you're going to be left with a lot of regrets. Those dreams, our unexpressed dreams, don't just go away. They don't just poof disappear when we don't follow them. They stay with us, and that turns into like this dissonance between the life we're living and who we really are, and that is painful. That's what causes people to get bitter and resentful. In fact, there was a 2008 study that showed that people who identify as truly showing up as themselves every day reported feeling much happier and having a much higher self-esteem. And lastly, when you live in your truth and you embrace your quirks and your uniqueness and your vulnerabilities, when you free yourself from the pressure of being anyone else, it liberates everyone around you to also be themselves. Like, think about that person in your life that always tries to show up as perfect. Maybe that's your friend or your boss. Their hair, always on fleek. Their clothes, never old, never wrinkled. They're always smiling, they're always having a good day. Like, you never catch them slipping. While there are good qualities about that, I personally don't feel like I can breathe around those kinds of people. Like, I can't just let loose and like relax and chill and just be myself. I feel like I have to be on my A game, you know, like kind of match their energy. But then there's people I hang out with that show up in such a real way. Like, they have no problem FaceTiming me when they're just sweaty coming from the gym. You know, they have no problem telling me like, oh, I'm like really broke right now. I can't do anything until Friday when I get my paycheck. They will be super honest about when they're having a bad day. And I feel like there's so much more space for me to just be honest about what's going on in my life when they're creating the space to do so. That's why on this channel, I never talk to you guys from a place of I have it all figured out, because I really don't. I say that in almost every video. Like, I really do struggle with all of the things I'm talking to you guys about. I relate most to the YouTubers who, or just to the people who are just like, hey, you know, we're no one's perfect. We're all in this together, man. I don't know. Moving on, now let's talk about how to actually do it, how to show up authentically. There is no shortcut. It's a daily practice. It's a daily mindset. It requires a lot of commitment and inner work. Number one is stop people pleasing. If you haven't seen my video on people pleasing, go check that out. You need to stop seeking approval and validation, and that starts with self-love. It's a daily practice of making a case for yourself as to why you're the shit. And when that foundation is so strong, you don't walk through life wondering, oh, what does this person think of me? What if I disappoint this person? Am I enough for this person? You don't try to please everyone. You don't try to make everyone like you. A friend to all is a friend to none. Don't be the person that tries to play both sides or be everyone's cup of tea. Be okay with choosing yourself and looking weird to everyone else or not fitting in. You, as a human, are more important than people's opinions of you. Number 2 is what Gary Vee always says, taste. Make it a habit every day or every week to do something totally out of the normal. Like, I never knew I liked classical music because out of habit I would only be listening to, the music that I grew up with or pop music or whatever was on the radio. But I made it a point to go on Spotify, explore and try something new, try something I had never heard of before, and you will surprise yourself at how much of those new things you love. Don't just listen to the music that's given to you by the radio. Don't just learn the ideas that are taught to you by your parents. Go out and see what else is out there. Have a childlike mentality of exploring. You know how children just wander off and dig through rocks and just do the craziest things? Have that kind of mentality of not caring how you look and just I'm gonna go exploring. See ya. Number 3 is be quiet. Even if you're a loud, extrovert, talkative person, whatever, have moments where you look inward and you kind of just stay to yourself and you are a bit more introspective. When it's quiet, you listen to yourself more. That's why journaling is so important, because it's just you and you. That's it. You're getting to know yourself. There's no one you're performing for. There's no one who's reading your journal. It's your relationship with yourself. Number 4 is be honest. When you listen, because remember, we're listening. When you listen and you hear that inner child speak, you hear your thoughts, don't ignore them. Let them speak up, raise the volume. Have the courage to be honest with yourself and with other people about what you really want. Stop being so judgmental, because judgy people judge themselves. If you live in negativity and you constantly find yourself looking at people thinking, ugh, that hairstyle is so gross, or, ew, I can't believe they like chess, that's so nerdy. You're gonna be that harsh with yourself, and you're not gonna ever really give yourself room to test out different personalities, to test out different things, because you've made your sandbox so small of what is acceptable, what is cool. It sounds super cheesy, but really let the unique parts of you shine and just be loud about them. I'll go first. I listened to the High School Musical soundtrack a lot more than I'd like to admit, probably. First of all, that shit slaps. If you know, you know. And as always, here are some questions to reflect on. If you woke up tomorrow and found the courage to be more true to yourself, what would you do differently? If you could walk down the street and everyone around you was blind, what would you wear? How would you act? This is random, but do you remember Heelys? They used to be cool, and then they just took a super hard left turn to being uncool. But can we talk about how efficient they were from getting you from point A to point B? Can we talk about that? Man, let me tell you, if I was carefree, you'd see me rolling, scooting all around town. Okay, next question to ask yourself. If you do the inner work and you realize you want to start living in a different way, you can't just change everything all at once, right? If you've always wanted to have an adventurous life, an adventurous career, but you settle down into a 9-to-5 desk job, you can't just quit that and book a flight to Thailand, right? But what would be a way to break down your big goal into a smaller, more achievable action? Maybe you could find a hobby that would scratch that adventure itch. Maybe you could join a hiking club or start saving for a big adventure trip, or start looking for remote jobs that would allow more flexibility to travel. The point is, start. Because at the end of your life, Betty from sales, who gives you the side eye, the bombastic side eye for dyeing your hair green or whatever, she's not gonna be next to your deathbed. Neither are 90% of your Instagram or Facebook followers. So dye your hair whatever color you want, wear whatever you want, blast High School Musical. Because at the end of your life, you have to look in the mirror and answer to yourself. You have to answer why you didn't pursue what you wanted to pursue, why you didn't live the way you wanted to live. So start now. That is all I have for you guys today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, and it would mean a lot to me if you would share this video with somebody or leave a comment or interact in some kind of way, because it really helps my channel out and it lets YouTube know that like this is a good video and they should keep promoting it. Have a great week, follow me on Instagram, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.
1, 2, 3.